So Swamiji, as we are surrounded by these fascinating yantras, I couldn't help but ask you which yantra you find the most fascinating amongst all these marvelous architectures.
Well, I mean, big ones are impressive, but if I look at the Kapal yantras, for example, which we spent yesterday almost the whole afternoon trying to figure out, then you realize that it is basically an inverted universe. It's an inverted universe in the sense of what we see from the Earth. Just upside, I mean, inverted, little inverted. How they made this, how they made all these connections and lines, it's for me difficult to conceive. This is extremely impressive. How they could even think of all these things. Or the other thing, which is also is the Nadivalaya Yantra, that you think of that you can see the change of the equinox, the change from the sun from the northern to the southern half of its course. So yes, that was yesterday. Unfortunately, due to the rain, we couldn't see the junction point. But to make yantras like this with such a precision that you have the shadow and the casting of the shadow until the 22nd of September on one side and then on the 24th of September on the other side. So amazing. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's what makes me wonder and makes you ask this question that how do you think that the seers of this wisdom got their knowledge from? Do you think it was merely at a very materialistic level, or
No, never. That is exactly the very important point about everything in the Vedic text, about all aspects of knowledge in the Vedic text. See, it is only since, 20 years about, a little bit more, that we speak of multiverse. Koti Pramanda Vishnu. It says in the Vishnu Sahasrana, which is thousands of years old, and if you look at the Yoga Vasishta, it all describes these different universes. So, where did they have that knowledge from? Like these yantras here, it's not because of the yantras that they found anything out. It's because they found something out in their consciousness that they have built the yantras based on that. That's the other way around. The yantras are just a tool for the common Jyotishi at that time to make a calendar, to have an idea of what is the time and what is the Rashi moving around and what is where is the sun in which sign and all this, to make it easy. But it's definitely not that based on these yantras that they have got any more depths into the knowledge. No, for sure not. So that is a very important point to understand, because as we know, the Vedic knowledge is all gained from within, and that are these levels which we know from the text also. It's the Vaikary Vani, which is clearly described in the Shiksha, how this comes about, this where we speak and communicate with each other. Then it's the next final level, which is Madhya Vani, which is what you could most compare to a level of telepathy or even to communicate with animals and other beings, kind of. And then comes the next level, and then that's when it starts to become interesting. That is Pashyant Vani. Pashyant comes from the root Drishti, and it gets at Dhatu Adesh in Sanskrit. So to say what you would say in English, an irregular verb that becomes from Drishti to Pashya. So that means you see, you actually see. And what do you see? Now, I always pull your legs because your name is Ramanuja. So we have an example with Ramanuja, which is not that long ago, about roughly 100 years, where we have this famous mathematician who has seen all these things. I mean, he had this channel open, and when he was asked by the scientists there in England, where he eventually got invited to, well, Mr. Ramanuj, how do you get to all this knowledge? And he simply said, I see it. I'm getting it from the Devi. I see it. So that is that Pashyant level. And that is the level where you get all this information of the universe, the mathematics of it, the Jyotish, all the things is on that level. So on that level, all the rishis had the access to knowledge. And Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras also, he says, Ritam Paratatra Pragya, that means on the level of where we do the process of Ritam, where we do the Samyama, then we get the Pragya, and the Pragya is the knowledge from within. So on Patanjali says very clear, that is the knowledge, and the rest you can throw in the wastebasket. I mean, whatever you are learning from the senses. So it is very superficial. So the real knowledge is what they get from within, and that's where all the knowledge has come from. So it was the sages of India, sages of this area of the world. I wouldn't like to say India because India was at that time much bigger than what it is today. But it's the sages of the scientists of that time were sages, were saints. And that's how they were experiencing all this. Now the most refined level is the para level. That's where you can even hear the Ved. Where the Ved says, Yochakara Tamrichakamayante, whoever is awake, him the riches seek out. So that is the most refined level, is that para level. And Maharishi speaks about this very clearly, says that is real Vedic science. So it's not that they have got any knowledge through all these things. It is because they had the knowledge that they could build all this.
And you mean to say that those knowledge were not obtained by through textbooks or by through something?
No, I'm not saying that the yantras were not made based on texts written by those rishis who had these experiences, but the origin of the knowledge comes from within. And it's in the text confirmed. See, that's how all the Vedic texts are. Basically, they are there to confirm your experience. Like if you have the experiences, once you start to have experiences of the Adidevic level, then you start to suddenly see in your meditation, you see Shiva, and then he does this and that, and he meets somebody else, and then action happens. A whole story, you start to see all these things. Then this is called Pratyaksh Praman. You see Pratyaksh Praman. So, but then you have to know, did I hallucinate or was it actually something real? So eventually, after more examinations, Anupan or Upana, you come to what is called Shabda Praman. And Shabda Praman means that you see what is written in the texts. So, like somebody who sees in his meditation, he has the experience of some of Quran, for example, and now he goes and he reads and he will say, oh, yes. He reads, let's say, the 5th chapter of Vishnu Puran and said, that last week, that was my experience. So that is on the level of Pashyant Vani. This is not only true for the Purans, it's true for everything, for all the Vedanta. See, if anybody starts, once we had asked Maharishi, when are we learning Sanskrit? And he said, once it becomes easy for you. What he meant by that is, you just start to experience, and you go with the Panini Sutras, and then you will experience, oh, yes. That is what. Now, and if you look at all these Vedic texts, for example, you look at Panini Sutras, or you look at the Jyotish texts, this is beyond imagination that a human mind as such could have written something like that. These are all developments cognized or realized on that level of Pashyant Vani.